Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Aeons. Welcome to Strange Aeons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. I was talking to Andrew Byers, who is, he and his wife do the lovely Friday Night Frightmare podcast. And we were having a nice little chat, and I said something to him that, as usual, I thought was incredibly profound, and I realized I had to say it here as well.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Where's the mute button?
Vanessa, when was the last time you downloaded a Neil Young song? Well, let's just make it in the last year.
No, never.
And Eric, when was the last time that you listened to an episode of the Joe Rogan Podcast? Just in the last year.
I have not. Well, I've listened to bits and pieces on YouTube and stuff, but not a full episode. Nope.
So they've been in the news lately, and there's been a lot of stuff going on about them. And I had posted a meme that I thought was funny, I guess, and it got taken way out of context, I thought.
Oh, dear.
And had a very close friend of ours, Eric, reach out to me privately, tell me that my meme was stupid and dangerous. And I was like, wait a second. This doesn't matter.
Right.
It really doesn't matter. There is a lot of people who would like you to think that this matters because they want you arguing with each other. But don't argue with your friends and family over stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I remember getting really, really upset about this situation. And then I was like, wait, I don't even know who Joe Rogan is.
Exactly. You're being forced into caring about something that doesn't matter. And the thing that I had said to Andrew was, I am incredibly blessed to have the two of you, not just as co-hosts, but as friends.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that our politics necessarily line up. I mean, I'm hardcore conservative Christian. You guys are avowed Satanists.
So close,
you keep trying to invite us to church, but I'm not going, dude.
But we talk about stuff, sometimes on the air, mostly off the air, and it's a discussion. Sometimes our point of views do not line up. And we have that discussion, then we hug each other and we say, I'll see you next week.
Let's talk movies.
I really appreciate that about you guys. So I just wanted to make that a public record. I love you guys.
Oh, well, I love you right back.
Love for all.
Yeah.
All right, let's get naked.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Not again. Yeah. I mean, that's the world we live in now, though. It's a weird world we're living in right now.
It really is. And I feel like every time I get really mad, I've been really trying to challenge myself to spend a hot minute researching and figuring out if I'm actually mad. And 99 times out of 100, I'm not. And it's more complicated than I thought.
I like that you try to figure out if you're really mad or not.
Yeah. It's important.
That should be what's done as opposed to, I mean, I'm sure we have all typed out Facebook, Twitter, whatever. I'm not going to actually send this.
Sure.
Yeah.
Delete, done.
Yeah.
But we did get some, speaking of reaction.
On what?
On, well, let me say.
Oh.
But if you're going out to movies on a regular basis and Omicron filled America, you probably deserve to catch it. That is a fact. Here's the part that's funny about that and shows he's maybe not listening as close as he thinks. How many times have you been in the theater, Kelly?
Oh, once.
In the last year or so, maybe?
Yeah.
And you've been in the theater
a
dozen times?
Yeah.
I've been in half a dozen or more times. Of the three of us, who's the one that actually got COVID? The guy who's been to the theater one time and he didn't get it there. He got it someplace else.
That's a really
kind of like,
weird
did you listen? You got to listen closer to, what's actually going on.
Yeah. And like, also I pick screenings that are purposely empty and at weird times and at weird theaters. I wear a mask the whole, and it's not like that. A lot of them have been fitted with really good, safety upgrades. I think
Also, you guys are not you guys are not breaking the law and going to underground theaters.
No, it's
Right,
true.
yes.
We are
Underground
allowed
theater
to do
matches.
that with rules, and you guys follow the rules.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So,
That's a
Well, I'm sorry to
strange
hear
thing.
that somebody felt that way.
yes, and somebody was angry with me for cutting the thing, and their quote to response was to quote Game of Thrones. Tyrion Lannister may not be the best person to quote as far as
Look, we
oppression
all like
in the
Peter
world.
Dinklage, but
Hell yeah.
that doesn't mean Tyrion
Lannister,
Lannister has got to be great.
One of the best TV characters ever.
100%.
But I'm not using him as an argument in politics or
Oh,
censorship thinking.
Also, I need to make it clear that whenever I'm angry at you guys, it is a theatrical anger.
I have figured this out when you're really nice to me and then you yell at me on air. I have worked that out.
Okay. Yeah, there's sometimes I will say something to make a point, but a peek behind the curtain before we recorded that episode where I talked about that, I asked Eric and you, I said, you guys mind if I give you a little gentle ribbing about cutting my stuff out? And you were both like, okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well, we both know, and this is an old H.P. Lovecraft guy. He's a really good guy. So I had to, I get to give him some ribbon too.
Right. I'm just surprised anybody listens to us through YouTube.
My mom did for a long time.
Well, I guess that's where my mom is still.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Although she likes the one where she can read our transcript, but has complained to me several times about when the transcript doesn't match what we say.
Yeah, it's electronically created.
Like Eric doesn't type
not sitting there listening to it, typing it up. No.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got to see some cool stuff, and maybe you guys have seen some of it, or none of it, or all of it. But I will start out with Nightmare Alley.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, go on.
Oh,
really?
I did manage to watch it.
Eric. That surprises me. I thought you'd have been all over this.
I got interested in it enough. I'm going, there's a Criterion version of the original. So I ordered that. So I've got that. I've got the new one.
Wow.
I went to watch them both.
Okay. And you've seen it, Vanessa.
I did. Yeah, recently.
I'll say this. I'll start off this way. I love the original. And I would suggest you do not watch it before you watch the new one, because I don't think the new one is as good as the original.
That I have not seen the original, but I've seen content that while I was watching Nightmare Alley, I was like, oh, it's this movie. And was like, okay, that's fine.
You didn't love it.
I am really conflicted. I was really mad at the end of the film and was really angry throughout, going, I'm really mad about this, and this. But now, as is my way, apparently, I've sat on it and I'm trying to process whether or not that's a fair judgment.
It's a pretty bleak movie.
That was the biggest problem, is it's bleak, and right now I can't really handle bleak so good. So that's on me. That's definitely on me.
You will have to agree that it is gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
it's beautiful. The places that they're filming in, the set design is incredible. The actors are all really killing it.
Yeah.
I do feel like it's two different movies that they shoved together that
I feel like
I don't love.
Part of that could have been fixed by chopping about 40 minutes out of it.
Yeah, I know which 40 minutes I don't want. Also, per usual, I mean, none of this is giving anything away, but Guillermo loves to do some gore. I was like, oh, that's what that looks like when that thing happens. I've always wondered, and now I know.
Yeah, well, I will say that I really, really enjoyed it, but I did not think it was as good as the original.
Nice. Yeah, the original is cool. Part of the reason it did, it popped up in I saw a photo of it. It's filled with like 10 tarot cards that come with it and all this kind of cool shit. It's a really nice Criterion package. Not that that's unusual.
Right.
That's cool. Well, I was just in the movie theaters, shockingly.
Spreading Omicron around.
Yeah, I was just licking the seats. You can quote me on that. On Friday or Thursday, I went and saw
Friday.
Moonfall.
Of course.
Oh, is that out?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't even have to ask if you like it. Your smile is taking over your entire face.
Well, okay, but this is it, okay. But I don't, because you're going to get mad at me later if I leave it at that. It's really bad. I need to be extremely clear. It is an unbelievably bad movie in ways that it shouldn't be, but there are certain moments that are so good, and the story works way better than it has any right to.
Kind of fill me in on the premise of this again. Is the moon going to fall into the earth?
Yes.
Okay.
But the rest, if I tell you anything else, it's a spoiler. So I can't tell you anything other than the moon be crazy, yo.
The gravity of the moon getting close to the earth isn't enough to destroy it right then. We have to wait until the moon actually touches the surface of the moon.
Yeah, it has to get real close.
Okay.
Real close.
All
I mean,
right.
science in this is hilarious. The real problem, honestly, is I think it's either the cinematography or the editing, but somewhere along the way, they rushed through a lot of stuff. So it's hard to care about characters. And I was like, maybe there's too much plot. But then I was thinking about all of other Emmerich's films and all the plot.
Can't be that.
And it's not that, because no, but like seriously, if Independence Day works and you think about all the things that happen and the people you meet in Independence Day, then this should work.
Sure.
So I think if it had worked and they'd done it right, it would probably be a 4-hour movie. But yeah.
So I've heard none of the reviews or anything like that. Is it being well reviewed?
I have no idea. I can imagine it is going to be panned.
It's 40-something on Rotten.
Yeah. People are going to hate it.
Well, I mean, when was the last time he did a movie that was hugely successful and I don't want to say good, but good. You know what I mean? He did some good, fun. Like Independence Day has its problems and there's people that complain about whatever. Yeah. I don't care. You can't, virus, doesn't matter.
It's still fun.
It's a fun, entertaining movie with some incredible, obviously, star-making performances.
Yeah. Day After Tomorrow, I really enjoyed. 2012, I started to feel a little loosey-goosey about it, but still a solid rewatch. And then there's a bunch of stuff that we don't talk about.
The most unbelievable thing in 2012 is that John Cusack has a license that says he's like 34 years old or something. I was like, that is one weathered 34-year-old.
Yeah, he's not that. He's one of my not favorite parts about that movie.
I did hear that Jackass the movie did better in the box office than Moonfall.
I mean, they have a really good trailer. I have zero interest in watching Jackass, but I was like, this trailer is pretty solid, guys.
If that did better, what was the budget on Jackass, do you think?
Yeah, compared to that.
God.
3 million, 4 million?
I don't even want to think about it. But in fairness, this has a lot of Chinese money. So I don't think, I think they're hoping that it does bigger in China than here and are not worrying about it. There is a random Asian character squeezed in who you don't learn the name of until very far into the film. And then you're like, why are you here? Okay.
I always kind of enjoyed Jackass because they do it to themselves.
Yeah.
As opposed to the kind of some of the YouTube assholes who prank other people and do mean shit to them. It's like, okay, you guys are stupid and insane and funny for 5 or 10 minutes, but at least you're just doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
But I didn't watch a whole lot recently. I've started a big series of classes for DaVinci.
Oh my God, that's so cool.
So it's like 4 or 5, 6 hours a day. So it's kind of like, all right.
DaVinci's still alive?
The editing system.
Oh.
Even hearing you say editing system, it's interesting because it's been color it started off as a color software, but a lot of people are moving into it to edit. So I'm fascinated to hear how it
was a color system. In the early 90s, it cost $250,000.
Wow.
As a program. Which is why why everybody in Hollywood uses it. It's the gold standard of color correction for film. But what they do that I like personally is you've got your edit, your color, your effects, your audio, and your delivery system all in the same program. Mm-hmm. And you go into the effects and you change an effect, it immediately shows up in the edit line. Mm-hmm. And vice versa. And it goes back and forth so frigging smooth as opposed to, how do I export this into After Effects? Right. Okay, now it's in After Effects. I put it back. Oh, that doesn't look quite right. So I got to go back and open it up in After Effects.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I did a lot of that. It was fun. It's a British company.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's a very British guy. He looked like Boris Yeltsin.
Very nice. Very nice. And this was the tutorial was a British guy, or is DaVinci
the teacher.
British? Okay.
The company is too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But now they're a hardware company. They're more interested in selling you their cameras and their gear.
So exactly. The reason why DaVinci is blown up, Kelly, because I'm sure you really care.
I'm fascinated.
Is it was actually packaged in free with the Blackmagic cameras, which were these incredibly beautiful high-res cameras that a lot of people were getting because they were slightly affordable and doing cool drone stuff and all kinds of crazy shit. So
yeah, and now you can get about 90% of the program for free.
Yeah,
and pay like a one-time $250 to upgrade it, and then for lifetime upgrades are free.
Whoa!
And I have yet to run into a single thing in this that I could not. That I go, damn! I wish I was still using Premiere.
Huh? Interesting.
Or Final Cut. But yeah, so it's impressive. So we'll see what it's like in another. I think it ends in March.
So I shouldn't be yelling at people on forums anymore. All right, got it. Do my best.
There you go.
Well, since you led with that for your choices today, Eric, normally I try to kind of pick something I think maybe you didn't both see, but clearly you saw nothing, Eric.
No, I've got another one to show that I'm pretty sure neither one of you have seen.
Oh, okay.
So for my next,
then it's not Reacher, is it?
No.
Okay.
I do want to see that though, because
nobody's watched Reacher.
Nope,
I like the actor playing Reacher, the guy who's a Hawk in Teen Titans.
I watched all 8 episodes.
Yeah.
I was just blown away by how entertaining it was. It's not high intelligence stuff, but it's very entertaining. And that guy is a fucking wall of a man.
Yeah, he's huge.
Like 6'5" and 240 pounds or something like that. And all he does is wear tight t-shirts and everything. I was having some moments there. It's like, damn, this guy is something else.
Yep.
He's getting in the shower again? Well, all right, got to wash all that sweat off.
I saw him in his first, this show called Blue Mountain State.
Yeah.
Which I think was on FX years ago, where he played the doofus guy. He played the ass kiss to the coach and stuff like that. But as the series developed, they kind of figured out he's got a little bit more. He never got fully away from being the clown of the show, but he changed significantly. And then he did that really cool show with the cars killing, where you like a death race kind of thing, but it was a TV series on Sci-Fi.
Oh, he was on that, huh? Okay.
Yeah, he's the main guy on that. So he's like this weird underground actor that I really like almost everything I've seen him in. I can't even think of his name.
He's got a lot going on in real life because after Blue State, he convinced Spike to give him the rights to that. And then he went on Kickstarter and kickstarted a film version of it and directed it.
Oh my gosh.
And then...
that explains a lot for the movie.
Yeah. And prior to Blue State, he was Aquaman on Smallville.
Really?
Then he became Hawk on Titans.
Wow.
And when they killed him off, I was like, what are you guys doing? This is one of your more interesting characters. And right out of that, because he didn't have a job, they reached out to him for Reacher. They were like, well, this guy looks exactly like Reacher, I guess. So
yeah, all the Reacher heads or whatever they call themselves are all happy now because it's not Tom Cruise anymore playing the Reacher character.
Right. I really hope they call themselves Reacher heads.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. Yeah, well, I went back through the archives to watch some content that I kind of meant to watch, but didn't really end up following through on. Why the Last Man? I finished up season 1.
Oh,
how is that? I haven't watched one episode.
At first I have a lot of mixed feelings about it. At first I was pretty annoyed because I felt like the casting of Uric was really, really off. But as the series has progressed, there's a lot of things I really like about it. I've actually kind of come around to him, and I like what they've done with Agent 335. I don't know. Anyway, but they have done some missteps. The Amazonians they basically just shot a bunch of chicks naked, and they're like constantly like in swimming pools and like bathing and stuff. And I'm like, this is kind of crappy.
I'm in.
If you guys want like a strong, empowered female, and I feel like they're trying to be empowering, but they don't have their breasts cut off for each of them. They are just women naked. So I was like,
they seem to have moved away from that in story and stuff in the more like last 20, 30 years.
Yeah.
Of not having that because the Amazon Wonder Woman women.
True.
And all that.
True. Yeah. Just as a comic adaptation, but there is a really neat transgender character that I totally love out of that show. And he's one of the best parts of the whole thing. So
what is that on?
That is on Hulu.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to check that out. Well, so you said that they've got some missteps. Yeah. Do you recommend that I check it out?
Oh God.
Did you like it enough to?
You might be mad if you love the comic, but if it's been a while, like it has been for me, then it might be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. If you've just read the comic, you'll probably be pretty pissed.
That different.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of shifts.
Is that why it got so much? Because it got just vilified.
I can't imagine why people. I mean, if people love the comic and that's your core audience, then why else would anyone else be into it? Yeah. I think the biggest problem is. For me, was Beth was a big shift too. So, yeah, stupid stuff. But there is other cool stuff. There's some good storytelling in there. So, yeah.
I ran into a weird one.
Yeah?
Vinegar Syndrome has started releasing new movies.
Whoa.
As well. And I didn't realize that. And I got one of their packs, I get 5 movies for $90 or whatever.
Yeah.
And one of them is this film called The Scary of 60.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm not surprised nobody's heard of it. I was like, okay, cool, let's check this out. One of their other new ones was Censor, which wasn't great, but was pretty good.
Yeah, I like that.
And they put they do the same stuff to these new movies they do to their classics. They just put together these beautiful packages.
Yeah.
Well, this is an interesting one. The storyline of the movie is 2 young women move into an apartment in New York that they found out was one of Jeffrey Epstein's dens, as you will call it.
I heard about this movie.
And so there's this very weird, completely unexplained concept that one of the roommates gets like possessed or something by seemingly somebody who must have really loved Jeffrey Epstein, because she goes around and like masturbates on his front door and outside his house. I'm going, I'm not sure what they're saying this lady is. Is she supposed to be a victim of his, or what is going on here? Because she seemed to really, really like him.
Yeah.
A lady shows up at the front door and starts talking to the roommate, and immediately I'm like, Alex Jones? Because it's they start spewing conspiracy theory stuff like, you're to Pizzagate? Oh, you know who killed Jeffrey? I'm pretty sure it was the Clinton Foundation. These are like these weird throwaway lines.
That's not a conspiracy though, right? I mean, we all kind of believe that, don't we?
Well, they did somehow completely conveniently leave off any mention of the current, or probably when they shot this, current president that might have been involved with him. There's no mention of anything like that. It's only this corner. I found out later looking up the movie, the lady that wrote it and directed it is I don't know if she's a regular, but a sometimes contributor to Alex Jones' show.
Oh,
how weird.
Weird.
And it's so jammed in there that like 2/3 of the movie through, I'm going, this is kind of like, if you want to go for it, go for it. I read one guy's review who thought it was satire. It's like, I don't think it's satire, because watching the interview with the lady on the disc, she seemed pretty serious about what she was talking about. So, but I don't know. But then all that shit gets put aside, all of the theories behind what's going. It's shot in 16 millimeters, so it looks neat. And then it goes into this really weird ending, which is straight out almost like a 70s exploitation movie with weird, kind of get some weird final ghost things and some battles and stuff. And it gets a lot better. Once they move past the I have to put these things in my movie moments, if you want to tell somebody your theories on movies, don't write them. If you want to put your political or whatever theories of the world into your movie, do it subtly.
Yeah.
Don't just write it directly out like they get And it has moments where I'm going, well, if your research is as good in practical things as it is on your theories, because I'm giving you an obsidian crystal. I'm like, obsidian's glass. It's not crystal to start with. It's a glass. And they're like, well, this obsidian will protect us from the evils of Jeffrey Epstein.
Wow.
It's an experience of a film, I gotta tell you.
Is Jeffrey Epstein somehow in this movie? Like his spirit or something?
He does make a brief appearance when she's killing the woman who is possessed. Sorry to spoil that for you there, guys.
Not going to watch this movie. This sounds like garbage.
This is a odd, any idea on budget?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It was not very high because the director is also she's the actor who says all of the conspiracy-minded stuff, is actually the writer-director. All three of the actors are immediately dislikable.
Yeah.
I mean, not just the roommate that falls for the lady who comes in is immediate. It's like they're supposed to be moving into the game. Going, why in the hell are you moving in with this woman? She's awful. And the woman who gets possessed is sort of just this mousy, uninteresting character. So it's just like, there's basically three people in this movie, and all three of them are annoying. So it's just like, give me somebody to cheer for here,
Yeah.
The lady falls susceptible to whatever the ghost thing is so quickly that you don't realize it's happening. It's like, minute she's fine, the next minute she's like screwing pictures of the royal family. Because, you got to have the royal family thing involved.
Sure, yeah, of course.
So,
I can't. What?
And everybody working in Hollywood is a pedophile. That line was thrown in too.
Well, we know that's true.
So, but we're supposed, but these people are our heroes, like as in the director really actually is like, yeah, these people are great though.
It seems that way, but I'm not entirely certain at the same time.
Weird.
It's because, it's her first time film. And although she does have some filmmaking talent, it's not in the writing department.
Yeah. Well, when you're a writer, director, actor, then that's a really, really toxic combo.
Yeah, yeah. So it was an interesting viewing experience, though, I gotta tell you.
Wow.
I'm trying to figure out if maybe it's a brilliant idea. Is there enough of an audience that is looking for something like that?
Like the Christian movies, the secret Christian movies?
Right, sure.
I would imagine so, yeah, definitely. If you...
QAnon?
Yeah, I would think
gonna love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of this stuff is in there.
I mean,
not a lot.
We should ask Vinegar Syndrome. Who is buying this? Who do you expect the sales go to?
I imagine now that you bought that, Eric, you are on some kind of FBI list.
Ooh, fun.
a different one than the last one you've been on.
What I've been on, yes.
Well, okay. How about we take a little break, and we're going to come back. We're going to be talking about Southern horror or Southern Gothic.
Yep.
My pick falls into both of those. So.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Mine wants to.
Oh. All right, we'll be right back. We have returned. Vanessa, this was your subgenre pick.
Yeah, I was really excited to explore the world of Southern Gothic / Southern horror. I haven't been to the South in a little while. I used to frequently make trips down there, and I've been missing it. And so this was a good opportunity to dive back into some of those cultural touchstones that I ran across.
It's also one of those picks that I was like, how have we not done this before?
I know.
Yeah, no kidding, man.
I was like, oh my gosh, like looking through our subjects going, we haven't done it. Yes. I'll start us off then. The movie that I went with, I looked at a lot of trailers and a lot of potential picks, and a lot of them just were either super low budget or just looked, I don't know, a little too tongue-in-cheek for me. So, of course, I went with Candyman, Farewell to the Flesh.
Candyman flesh and blood? I'm afraid not.
But he lives in the mirror.
You say his name 5 times, he's supposed to come.
That's how he gets you.
You guys don't really believe that, do you? There's no such thing as a Candyman.
Those 3 victims were John Doe's.
What if it's true? What if the Candyman does exist? What did you see that night? Ray's body was torn apart by something powerful. It wasn't a brother.
I'm gonna find out what happened.
No! No!
There are no monsters.
You brought me here, and only God can save us.
The terror in the mirror returns
Our journey begins.
to avenge his name, reveal his past, and fulfill his destiny.
What do you want from me?
Death is a return, you know.
In a motion picture that ends what the first one barely started. Candyman, farewell to the flesh.
So this, you guys have both seen this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Long ago.
Yeah.
Actually, I forgot it existed
Until
as part of the Candyman universe.
Well,
oh, yeah.
the trailer for it was so good. And I was like, I don't know. This looks like it's going to be a fun ride. This film came out in 1995. I will say the Rotten Tomato critics have it at 25%. The audience has it at 30%. So do with that what you will.
Sure.
Could not find the budget for it. But the box office brought in a whopping $13.9 million. So don't know if that was good or bad. Probably was bad. Director is Bill Condor. He's done 21 things, including Mr. Holmes, which is a movie I really hate. Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1 and 2, which is a set of movies that are not great, but whatever. Dreamgirls, Kinsey, and Gods and Monsters, which is pretty good.
Wow. Okay.
I know. You really took a twist.
He's got a range, this guy.
Good Lord.
No kidding. The writer, there's several writers. Rand Ravitch has done 11 things. This was his first feature film, and since he's done Astronaut's Wife and 3 TV series, none of which I'd heard of. Mark Kruger has also done 11 things. He's a TV writer who did the Frankenstein miniseries, a couple episodes of Damien, some of Teen Wolf. He's a producer who was really behind things like 4400, Damien, Teen Wolf. So that's more his thing. And last but not least, of course, Clive Barker, story by. He's got 43 film credits, including Hellraiser, Nightbreed, and Midnight Meat Train. So if you don't know who Clive Barker is, you probably
aren't listening to
this you're
podcast.
Not really into this podcast. I'm not sure why you're here. Welcome, but you might need to do some homework. All right, this is starring Kelly Rowan, who I spent the whole time being like, you look so familiar. Who are you? She's been in 63 things. She's the mom in the OC. So I guess that's where I know her from.
Okay.
She was also Peter's mother in Hook. She was in The Gate. She was in Lonesome Dove TV series. Also in it, starring Veronica Cartwright as the mother character. She was, of course, Lambert in Alien, and Felicia Alden in Witches of Eastwick. She was in The Birds, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, lots of TV, and still really working today. Bill Nunn, I recognized as he's the Reverend in this. Not like a huge role, but I was like, I know you. They powdered your hair white so you look old, but you're not. He was in the Spider-Man Raimi films as Joseph Robbie Robertson. He's kind of in it throughout. Yeah, he's in all 3 films. He's also in Extreme Measures, Kiss the Girls, Runaway Jury, and last but not least, Tony Todd as Candyman. Tony Todd has been in 241 things. That man, my God. Of course, he's been in Candyman, also in The Rock, The Crow. He does a lot of voice acting now. I think that's where a lot of his credits come from. So just Half-Life Alyx, he just did the voice of Zoom. He was in the Flash TV series. And it also showed up recently in 14 episodes of Young and the Restless, which I feel like I really want to hunt down.
Really?
Huh. That's a very small amount of episodes.
I know, but just long enough to have a story stint, you know?
Right.
Like,
what is that? That's 2 weeks?
Yeah.
Yeah. Watch that, and then you're going to start talking about The Young and the Restless every time. You go, oh man, I got to find out what happens to her when she went off the cliff and you didn't see the car crash.
I don't know. My
comes back with
Couldn't be
amnesia.
late, guys. I was watching my stories.
My mom and grandmother and aunt all religiously watched soaps when I was growing up, and I never caught on, so I think I'm safe. I was the one watching Star Trek and like the Beauty and the Beast TV series, and they're like, what are these monsters? All right. The plot of this, we come in 3 years after the Candyman murders in Chicago. We start off with Professor Purcell has written a book all about the Candyman. It's really a cool looking book, actually. It looks almost like a mix between a Stephen King, sort of a front cover with a dripping, red Candyman letters. And it's got a reflective mirror jacket. Which is a really cool idea for a Candyman book. He's come to New Orleans to do a lecture on the mythology of the character. Someone in the audience asks if he thinks Candyman is real, and he's like, of course he's not real. And they're like, all right, prove it. And he's like, I will. And he picks up the book, which has the mirror cover, and he says Candyman in it 5 times. And then immediately a giant hook comes out from behind a screen and gets him right in the gullet. And then he's like, ha ha ha, got you guys. It's my assistant. Good job, Bill, or whatever. So this movie loves a fake out.
Your reading of that script.
So, man, it was this has so many fake outs, is ridiculous. So of course, after the lecture, somebody follows him out, a guy named Ethan Tarrant, who is very, very angry with the professor. In fact, he holds him partly responsible for his father's death. His father believed in the Candyman and had reached out to this guy, and the guy had basically said, well, just say his name. You'll see he's nothing. And of course, Ethan's father died in a really horrific way. Ethan follows this professor into a bar, basically attacks him, and then is thrown out. The professor goes into the restroom alone, the perfect place to go. Definitely not where you'll be killed by a Candyman. And in one of the stalls, a man appears, a black man appears. And goes out and washes his hands.
I knew it.
This is a handsome black guy. He's looking at the dude like, what's your problem? He's like, I wrote this book. It's really awkward.
But wouldn't it have been cool if he gets to the sink and he's washing a hook?
That would be so good. I'd be like, man, Candyman's looking good. And then, of course, dude leaves, and the door swings a few times, the lights go out, and actual Candyman appears and really kills him for real this time. So New Orleans is being stalked by Candyman activity. There have been several killings in the last year. There's just like artwork all over the place. There's a bunch of pieces of paper that have been printed off, obviously very hastily, with a hook hand and a big no symbol through it. I was like, man, that's a creative.
No
art.
Candyman.
No Candyman. We don't want you here, sir. Be out. And of course, Ethan is now being blamed for all of these murders because he attacked the guy right before his murder. Now, his sister, Ethan's sister, is an art teacher who teaches art to low-income students, I think. I'm not really sure. But, she's that magical white girl teacher who's working in the inner city, helping out these kids, really giving them something they can't get anywhere else, I guess. She is called away to go and talk to her brother, who's now in prison. And she tells Ethan, who has now written a full confession to this murder. She's like, you have to tell them the truth. There's no way you did this. Like, why are you confessing to this murder? And he's like, don't worry about it. Stay out of my business, sis. And she's like, it has something to do with our father, doesn't it? Yes. You're on the journey I am on. All right, cool. Father, got it. All right. In the art class, she returns. One of her students starts drawing Candyman. And she, of course, tells everyone, look, he's not real. And they're like, no, he's been killing all the people in our neighborhood. She's like, no, like, come on, you guys are taking this way too seriously. So she walks over to a mirror in the classroom and she's like, I'm going to prove it. This is nothing. And says the name 5 times and a bee appears at the window. She and another student goes out and looks at the bee for a long time. It's very weird. Yeah. So soon Candyman is, of course, stalking her, killing the people around her. He wants her to join him. This should all sound pretty familiar. There's, of course, more to the story. Her family is somehow intertwined with his history of some kind. It definitely has nothing to do with her house that she grew up in that was on an old plantation. And in like one of the early scenes, she's like, yeah, there's the slave quarters down there, but my father said that, we could never play down there. I'm like, check off slave quarters. Gonna come back. And sure enough, don't worry, it does. It's a pretty neat film. We've got it all set against the New Orleans backdrop, getting ready for Mardi Gras. It's kind of in this countdown timeline. We're just following her all around the city as she's trying to put things together. It's pretty neat because we get to see like the big cemetery in the New Orleans area. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's very, very cool. You get to walk through the neighborhoods.
Gwen is yelling at you right now.
I know. I almost had it. It's like in there. I've been there. It's great. I don't know. The story isn't really worth delving too far into. I think if you really are a Candyman completionist, feel free to go and check it out. It's Candyman fair. There's Candyman. He does the Candyman things.
I thought that the Candyman was supposed to be in Chicago. Why is he in New Orleans?
Well, they write a story just for that. So, the slave quarters, because they rewrite some of the history and he was now a slave. There. Okay. I don't know why he was in Chicago now. I'm a little confused about that. I was like, wait, wasn't he from Chicago and that's why he's in Chicago? And like
twin Tony Todds.
Yes.
One Chicago, one New Orleans.
His soul was split in many pieces, much like a broken mirror.
Ooh.
Oh, there you go.
Yes.
You've already come up with a cooler idea than anything in this movie.
I will say that the ending actually has a really interesting getting rid of Candyman moment. They have some really early bad CGI going on where they do break him into pieces. It's both awesome and really awful at the same time. So some general thoughts on this film. The art in it, actually, aside from those like print-offs that look really bad, throughout the art is really good. She goes into her old abandoned home at one point. They had left, I don't know why, they don't explain it, but her family had left this big, beautiful mansion and it's now filled with like homeless people and it's got a lot of graffiti on the walls and it feels really authentic. In fact, a lot of stuff that they walk through and go around feels very true to the South. But in her home, when she goes up to the attic area, there's several huge murals of the Candyman, and they are gorgeous to look at. I think they did a really great job of showing a city that is very artistic and takes that art and expels their pain through it in a really neat way.
Nice.
However, there are issues. For example, when she goes to the courthouse to try to help her brother, apparently it's really hot. We know this because everyone talks about how hot it is. And there are these like fans moving real slow, real like southern slow.
There you go.
Twisting around. Everyone's like, God, it's so hot. Except for everyone's wearing long sleeves. And like one of the dudes is in a leather jacket with like the fur rim. I'm like, what? This is unbelievable, guys. If it's hot, wear like shorts or some shit. Everyone should be sweating. This is stupid. There also the soundtrack throughout this is extremely, not the music, the sound effects throughout this are extremely frustrating. Every time there's a jump scare, there's this like pig squeal sound that's like, and the first time it happened, I was like, where's the pig? There is no pig. You're just supposed to be surprised. And a lot of the jump scares are not that, like, it's about to happen. It's like a guy is going to put a hand on a shoulder, because you see him behind her hanging out. And then he just walks forward and puts his hand on her shoulder and she jumps and they make the sound. I'm like, that's not how a jump scare works.
Not Exorcist 3, huh?
Could you make that sound again?
Nice.
It's almost like a pterodactyl pig. That's the only way to describe it. There's also kind of bookending this. There's a VO throughout that's this radio host who's like the kingfisher is what this dude calls himself, and he's got that real guys, watch out. It's Mardi Gras coming down, and this is our time to party, whatever. But he sounds like a cool black dude. And then at the end, you see him in the float, and he's just a fat white guy. And I was extremely disappointed. But they also way overutilize him to give away like plot and to explain what's happening like all the time. He's like, tuck your kids in at night. The Candyman might be coming for him. He's been making appearances all day long. Like, okay, dude, great. Yeah, it's a little too much. And just a lot of logic flaws. Just a lot of logic flaws all the way throughout this whole thing. It's just a lot of times you're like, why did you say that to that person? They don't care. Also, the familial connection between our lead female character and Candyman, spoiler, there is some kind of line. Maybe he might be her great-great-grandfather. So every time he tries to say, come away with me, I basically want to fuck you in hell. I'm like, that is your great-great-granddaughter. That's gross. Don't do that, sir. I'm sorry. I need some level of respect for the Candyman, and you are really taking it away. Just a little bit of trivia, not a ton on this. Bernard Rose originally conceived a sequel to the 1992 hit Candyman as not featuring the eponymous character at all, but instead continuing to explore the nature of the urban horror myths. This was quickly scratched out when the producers figured out that audiences were only going to show up if they because they wanted to see Candyman eviscerate his victims, which makes sense. The director of Candyman originally had another concept in mind for the sequel, which was he basically says he's pissed. I have a quote here. They originally wanted us to do Candyman 2, but they didn't like the idea for the sequel. They made the Candyman into a slave, which was terrible because the Candyman was educated and raised as a free man. We wanted to make him like the African-American Dracula, which I think was so appealing to the African-American community because they finally had their own Dracula. The Candyman was a poet and smart. He was really, he wasn't really a monster. He was sort of a classical figure. And somebody else says the sequel that Bernie wanted to make was his prequel, where you see Candyman and Helen fall in love. It was all turned down because the studio didn't want to do an interracial love story. Bloody Disgusting in 2020 reported that there was another unmade follow-up titled Candyman 2: The Midnight Meat Train. Rose was meant to be the director once again, and it was supposed to be all about a mythological figure haunting the early 90s London. The sequel would have been somewhat based on Clive Barker's Books of Blood short story taking place in the subway. The Midnight Meat Train inspired follow-up went unproduced until obviously it became a movie. Because the studio felt like the screenplay was just too risky. The only scene that was left in place from the original draft was when Candyman shows up and kills the professor. There was also a lot of controversy about the poster because used to advertise Candyman 2 because this was during the O.J. Simpson trial, and it was still very public and ongoing. So the picture of a black man stalking a white woman was seen as controversial, and the original artwork was quickly omitted. The movie is available from Shout Factory and streaming free on Paramount Plus and Prime.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This poster, or the poster I remember, has like a beautiful woman kind of in white, and she's kind of staring up or something, and there's like a honeycomb, or am I thinking of the right?
I feel like the one I saw is like him and some bees.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a few floating around.
Probably.
But yeah.
Because a lot of times I'll get the video cover.
Yeah.
Confused with the movie cover.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
I just remember thinking about the only thing I liked about this movie was the poster art.
Oh gosh. Yeah, I think there was things in there that I enjoyed, but the actual writing was pretty rough.
All right.
Well, let's go to even rougher then.
Oh, fancy.
Going back down into the Severin vaults for 1981's A Day of Judgment.
To the house of the Lord.
is mine, saith the Lord.
The whole thing holds together as a kind of, to me, almost like an EC Comics with a slight Christian twist to it.
I was tasked with creating some more exciting demise for some of the characters.
I was living the dream at that point.
Ooh.
Start out by saying this was another one with absolutely no ratings on Rotten Tomato. It was findable, though. Unlike The Undertaker, which, wasn't even there. This was directed by Charles Reynolds, only film he directed. Written by Tom McIntyre, the only film he wrote. Here's where we get to the people who've done some stuff. William T. Hicks was in Hooch and Death Screams.
Mm-hmm.
Harris Bloodworth and Deborah Bloodworth were both in Return and the Curse of the Jackalope. I kind of want to see at least one of those. Susan Bloodworth was also involved, so it's a little family there. Not a single, I don't think, there may have been one, but I don't think a single actor in the entire movie has an IMDb photo. Mm-hmm. And I don't believe the director or the writer do as well.
Oh, nice.
So I'm guessing, somebody else put this up on IMDb for them. The opening credits are a very bizarre Renaissance music. What is this movie going to be? And boy, I had no clue. It opens with a scene of obviously very low budget regional film shot in, depending on who you listen to, either North or South Carolina. But so we start off with this guy who's kind of an asshole and talking about how he likes to satisfy the customers while talking to the lady he's helping.
Yeah.
The movie's very hard to place in time initially because the clothing is late 1800s, early 1900s probably, but the rooms they're in are, it looks like the walls around us right now as far as the white and the way they're designed.
Shot in somebody's apartment.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it was 1920s it's supposed to be. So it looks like they found a good local theater and raided their wardrobe for the stuff. Although they did have 3 fairly nice era cars.
Oh, cool.
And they actually had 3 because they were all in one shot together.
Oh.
Like, all right, pulled that one off. And then there's a priest wandering around who's in a lot of debt, who goes to a banker who turns him down and tries to get new things. And the guy's like, usury used to be against the Bible. The bank manager doesn't care.
I bet.
For some reason, there are 3, and this is never explained. But for some reason, whenever the priest shows up and goes someplace, there's 3 older women dressed all in black following him around. I don't know why.
Priesty stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. They're the only people in the church he's preaching to at the beginning of the movie. Okay. And then they only appear a couple times with him and then at the end of the movie again. I don't know what they're.
I don't have anything in my Catholic roots to give answers with.
What's the Trinity? The Holy Trinity, maybe?
Sure.
You can maybe you're starting to put together what this movie's going to be. There's the scene of, it skips and skips. So there is no through line in this movie. It's almost a series of vignettes. And you get introduced to these new characters, and sometimes they cross over between the vignettes, and sometimes they're just, here's their story and it's done. And you don't see them again until the end. This one now, there's a bunch of little kids playing with a ball that gets into the old lady's yard, and she yells at them, and they send their pet goat to fetch the ball for them.
Sure.
As you want to do. As a child in the 20s. We don't have dogs and cats yet. I have a goat.
Dogs and cats hadn't been invented yet.
That's right. And but she kills the goat. So I was like, oh, okay, shit. And now we move to the gas station guy. I'm just gonna run through these kind of quick. But and he's like putting his family away in the put them in the old folks' home against their will, gets them to sign away their legal rights and stuff. And so now we finally get a killer in the movie is the Grim Reaper, and comes and takes out the lady that killed the goat. So she comes out and all of her flowers have been ruined, and then ground opens up and pulls her down, and it's like, oh, nice. Basically, this movie's full of awful people doing awful things. We got adultery, pretty sad adultery, because, well, as the notes and trivia will let you know, this movie was shot with religion in mind. So these two go to their house to commit adultery against the guy who's out of town. And apparently at some point they went upstairs and they did it and came back down. I thought they were still just talking in the front room about having an affair. I was like, oh, they did? Because when the guy comes home, I'm going, well, you guys didn't technically do anything yet. There's actually a couple decent performers. There's a sheriff who shows up in several of them, like he's there with the kids and the goat and a few other ones that, he's pretty good. Because I'm pretty sure this was all put together by that same theater that provided the clothing, where you get the regional actors, where there's always one or two of them that are pretty damn good. And he was one of those. The Grim Reaper instantly reminded me of Robert Englund in The Phantom. The weird makeup they did on him. I mean, it's nowhere near as good.
Okay.
But it had that look. There's a brief scene of a guy getting his head cut off that's bizarrely graphic in the rest of this film. I'm just going to spoil the end of this movie, because if you want to watch it, you're still going to want to watch it no matter what I say. But I'm guessing a lot of you are not going to want to watch this. It basically ends with all the awful people following Grim Reaper into hell or whatever. And then every one of them waking up Christmas Carol style, realizing that they haven't died, they haven't gone to hell, and they can redeem themselves.
Oh my God.
So the end of the movie is the church that only had 3 people in it suddenly has like hundreds of people going into this church.
Oh my God.
Led in by the 3 ladies in the all black.
Oh, of course.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
the only real devout Christians, Catholics, whatever they are.
So, that's the end. Instead of saying the end, it's the beginning.
Oh no.
And then the 10 commandments scroll past.
What the? Remind me what this movie is called?
Day of Judgment. And it's advertised and promoted as a slasher film. A Southern slasher.
Did you get Secret Christian filmed?
I did.
Oh, that's
put out by Severin. And it looks fantastic. It's treated like every Severin movie. They've got interviews with some of the people that were involved in making it. And it by the end, through the middle, going, well, this is kind of boring and dull. By the end, once you sort of figure out what's going on, it's like, this is a fascinating curiosity of a film. A couple of the taglines first here. The night he came to collect his own. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. And with his power scythe, sinners are awarded their just punishment.
No one should ever be forced to say that out loud.
Right.
They're bad, yes. However, the guy who did the music for it worked on, he wasn't full composer, but the soundtrack or something they called him, has worked on 53 other projects, including Zombieland, Deliverance, Cop Out, and The Muppet Show, or The Muppet Movie.
Whoa. They must have given him a truck full of money.
Yeah, I don't know if he was local or already knew the people.
Weird.
It was shot over 6 weeks. When they were shooting it, if they were shooting on a Saturday night, they had to stop at midnight. They could not shoot at Sunday at all.
That's the Lord's Day.
That's right.
Wow.
When it first was starting to be put out there, the studio said, we don't know what to do with this. That direct marketing thing from the 50s was going, 60s was going away, and they haven't got to what you can do now, where you can just put it out on video and show it at churches or whatever. So they inserted the violent scenes. The original sin of the old lady who killed the goat was just that her flowers were going to die. So he went back in and shot a scene with the Grim Reaper there and her being pulled into the ground, and a different director shot the guy getting his head cut off and all this other weird stuff to make it a horror movie.
Okay, so that was the point. They were like, well, how do we get this into theaters?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
We can only do this as a horror movie because nobody's going to see it otherwise, is kind of what they went with. Nobody's going to see it anyways. It was one of the main interviews was Stephen Thrower wrote the giant book of Nightmare USA, which in all the movie books I own is the largest. It's frigging huge. It's like a little larger than your average coffee table book and almost 600 pages long.
Oh my God. Whoa. Buddy, make volumes. Come on.
He was fun to listen to, too. He's a really good interview. Apparently, when this was put out, I think it came out last year, there's a couple truncated interviews because Severin's working on a documentary involving either this film or I don't know if it's going to be another one of their series of odd religious based or odd locally made films or something. I don't know. It was originally intended as a film to be shown in film and be shown in churches, but they couldn't get any funding in it. And they tried to work around. I'm not sure how they did it as a horror movie before it was cut. It depends on who you listen to. Things happened at different times. The director they hired was an atheist. So the producers were the ones putting on the you can't shoot on the Sabbath thing
this
going on.
This is just Ed Wood.
Oh, it's wild. God. The film was not re-released in a large audience, largely because the producer, they tried to self-distribute it. So it just died on the vine. Nothing happened with it. And in a weird twist of Severin crossover, Charles, the director, was an AD for Al Adamson on his really, really strange children film, Carnival Magic. He also acted in it.
Oh, I didn't realize he had a children's film.
Oh, man, it's weird. And it's borderline children's, but it's a story of a gorilla in the circus. Or not a gorilla, but a chimpanzee in the circus.
Huh.
Yeah. So,
okay.
That was unique.
Wow. What an experience.
It was cool.
So just remind me, what year did this movie come
81.
out? 81. Okay. So 81 set in the... Wow. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Well, I was, I looked through a bunch of films. I thought I was going to do Skeleton Key. With,
sure.
I can't remember her name right now, but...
the one blonde lady.
Yeah, very pretty. And I started watching it, and I remember kind of liking it, and 15, 20 minutes into it, I could not see at all why I liked it. I was this is a snooze fest. What was I thinking? So... I did a little more research and I found, for the first time watch, Eaten Alive.
If you were one of the millions of moviegoers who were electrified by the unbearable suspense and sheer terror of Jaws, get ready for Eaten Alive. Created by Tobe Hooper, maker of the screen sensation The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Mardi Rustin presents a new horror classic, Eaten Alive. Into this house of terror comes a handful of unsuspecting innocents.
Hello?
What happens to these people in Eaten Alive will give you the most chilling, terrifying 90 minutes you ever spent in a theater. Mardi Rustin presents Eaten Alive. Mel Ferrer, Carolyn Jones, Stuart Whitman, Neville Brand. Get ready for Eaten Alive, a new horror classic.
1976, budget of $520,000. I could find no box office information. The Rotten Tomatoes critics have it at 35%, and the audience has it at 30%. Directed by Tobe Hooper, who directed the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He did the Salem's Lot TV miniseries. He might have directed some of Poltergeist. Written by Alvin L. Fast, who wrote Satan's Cheerleaders. Marty Rustum, who wrote Evils of the Night, which is like real bargain basement bullshit. And Kim Henkel, who wrote Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Last Night at the Alamo, and The Unseen. Neville Brand is the lead in this as Judd. He has 138 credits, including The Ninth Configuration, Tora, 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 Birdman of Alcatraz. Mel Ferrer, who has 108 credits. He was in Nightmare City, The Sun Also Rises, The Knights of the Round Table. Marilyn Burns returns for more torture after appearing in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. She was also in Future Kill, and she is in the 2022 Texas Chainsaw on Netflix this month, which is kind of a Halloween kind of remake.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but
playing herself 50 years later.
Oh my God.
Kids, and I was like, oh boy, okay.
Jesus.
Oh wow. That was a stretch in Halloween. That's a real real stretch.
Yeah, I'll watch it.
Oh yeah.
This also has Robert Englund in it.
Whoa.
Who was Freddy in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Okay. Eric, you've seen
Oh
this.
yeah.
Vanessa, you have not seen this.
Correct.
This is a weird one.
Yes.
It opens with a shot of a belt buckle being popped open and a man saying, "My name is Buck and I'm raring to fuck."
Oh my God.
And we are in a room in a whorehouse, although this is the shoddiest set I have ever seen. And if I walked into a movie being shot on this set, I would turn right around and leave, no matter how much I was being paid, because they've literally tacked like a velvet curtain on one wall and pushed a bed up against it. And the rest of the place is just white walls that look like they were just thrown up real quick. It in no way looks like a real room in a house, even a 1976 whorehouse. But Buck is Robert Englund, and he is with a pretty young whore.
As you do.
Yeah. And he's paid his $20 and he wants anal sex.
Oh,
and
whoa.
she is not okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what the going rate for anal sex is.
It's got to be more than 20.
I would think so. You guys ever tried anal sex?
I don't want to have this conversation.
I'll just tell you this. It sounds fun, but it really hurt my butt. Anyway, he tries to anally rape her in this opening scene, and she puts up enough of a fight that the owner of the whorehouse, played by a very weird-looking Carolyn Jones, who was Morticia in the original Addams Family TV show, she throws her out, and she has to move on, and she ends up at Judd's sleazy motel, which is the Starlight Hotel. This is not a hotel by any means. It is a 2-story house with a big, huge swamp right off of the side porch, and the swamp is all fenced. So it seems like she's going to be our protagonist. Judd, the owner of the place, quickly makes her feel awful for being a whore, and then also fondles her up because she is a whore.
Jesus.
But when she resists him, she is tossed off the front deck and into the pond, where Judd's pet alligator quickly chows down on her.
Oh,
yeah.
I saw that coming.
Points to Toby for wanting to show the monster immediately, but he really should have held off. This thing is a ridiculous looking prop, and it's also not a big prop. The alligator is like maybe, I don't know, 12 feet long, and 6 of it is tail. So if you were being attacked in real life by a 12-foot long alligator, terrifying.
Yeah.
But we are used to 30-foot long alligators in our movies, and this looks silly because it's just, one of those mouth opening things that looks ridiculous. And it is, it's definitely an alligator. Vanessa, do you know the difference between an alligator and a crocodile?
Oh my God. I've been waiting for this day and I'm not prepared.
An alligator will see you later, and a crocodile will see you in a while.
Oh my God. That's beautiful.
Holy crap.
The best part is, I think I've used this joke on you 3 times in the course of our show, and you always fall for it.
Really?
Yes. I love it about you.
I have no memory of this.
It's forgettable.
All right, now. Shortly after she dies, a family shows up. They end up getting a room, and you think you're going to identify with any of them, but we soon find out that the husband is some kind of weird, fucking sweaty, unhinged dude. And after their family dog is eaten by the gator, the husband takes matters into his own hands and is quickly fed to the gator himself. And the wife and the daughter are attacked by Judd. The wife is Marilyn Burns from Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and she spends the rest of the movie tied to a bed, screaming.
Sure.
While the daughter, who's like 8, manages to escape under the porch, but she is routinely attacked by Judd, who's like shoving stuff down between the slats in the porch trying to get her, and the alligator that is trying to get her from the sides.
Oh my God.
So she barely escapes every time. It's ridiculous and fun. This alligator, you just need to watch this for this alligator, which is so bad looking. And this was about the time that I realized that Toby was playing a big joke on us, because Judd, who is the awful owner of the Starlight Hotel, is our protagonist in this super sleazy nightmare logic film. It is
oh my God.
so weird looking. Yeah. Another couple arrives, and they're actually the parents of the whore from the first scene, and they're looking for their daughter. They get very suspicious very quickly. The screaming woman tied to the bed is a big red flag. And let me just say that the cycle continues, and you're kind of beaten up by the ridiculous horror of this film, because everybody gets killed, everybody gets thrown into the swamp, everybody gets eaten by the gator.
Yeah.
That's one happy gator.
Yeah. Much like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the women in this film exist only to suffer.
Sure.
And the men are either completely worthless or deranged beyond belief. And it really made me wonder what was going on in Toby's life before film.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Like, where is he drawing this inspiration and this idea about humanity from?
Yeah, it is bleak. And and also it cemented for me my belief that he had very little to do with the directing in Poltergeist, no matter what Mick Garris says.
Yeah.
It's tonally so dissimilar.
Yes,
It's just,
absolutely. Buck shows up again, being his sleazy self, takes advantage of someone, and then is killed in a pretty satisfying way. Maybe the only satisfying death in the movie is this guy being killed finally. And I'm sure you can guess what Judd's final fate is, so I won't get into the ending of this film. But I will say that as I was watching it, I couldn't look away. There was some kind of weird fascination, and I think I kind of like it. It is streaming free on Tubi. It has this bizarre, unrealistic look to the entire thing, which is weird because Texas Chainsaw Massacre, this is his movie right after Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which is almost documentary looking.
Yeah.
It's hyper realistic.
Yeah.
And this is, it doesn't even look like it takes place on Earth.
Yeah. It's got to be a studio.
It is, but
It's
the
so weird.
exterior is a huge set. The exterior of the hotel is a huge set. Everything looks fake. The trees and everything around it look fake. And the lighting looks like they're on Mars. Everything outside is red, is lit by a dull red glow, and all the shadows are blue.
Huh.
And it's just like, what the fuck? And there is a fog machine going or something that makes it look like something is on fire, like right off of the edge of the camera.
Oh my God.
It's so thick. Inside, in between the weird kills, is just Judd at the center of everything. And he's either mumbling to himself, or he's moving from room to room to hear what's going on in different parts of his hotel, or he's singing, or he's dusting furniture, he's turning a lamp on, or he's reading a magazine. And it's just this weird shit going on in between the awful deaths. And all of this is being scored by this freaky, bizarre electronic soundtrack that I guess Tobe Hooper composed.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This sounds like somebody who got all the toys and was like, oh my God, I finally have a set, and I finally have lights, and I finally have a fog machine, and I can finally use a monster. What?
And not only that, but $520,000 to make it. So
Really?
that must have seemed like, he hit the big time or something.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay. I have a little bit of trivia here, and doesn't involve the difference between a crocodile and an alligator.
I'm going to try to remember next time.
Okay. The plot was very loosely based on the story of Joe Ball, also known as the Bluebird from South Texas or the Alligator Man, who owned a bar with a live alligator attraction during the 1930s in Elmendorf, Texas. During this time, several murders of women were committed by Ball, and the legend is that he would dispose of his victims' bodies by feeding them to his pet alligators, but it was never proven that the flesh found in the pit was human.
Oh my God.
However, Joe Ball committed suicide at his bar on September 24th, 1938, when he was about to be arrested by police in connection with the murders.
Sounds totally innocent to me.
Filmed entirely on the sound stages of Raleigh Studios in Hollywood, California, which had a large-scale pool that could double as a swamp. Shooting on a soundstage instead of a practical location contributed to the atmosphere of the film, which director Tobe Hooper described as a surrealistic Twilight world. However, the film eventually proved to be problematic for the director, who left the set shortly before production ended due to a dispute with the producers.
Whoa.
It says here the fog effects for the swamp scenes were used using dry ice in the style of earlier Hollywood horror films.
That's fun.
First line of dialogue, "My name is Buck, I'm here to fuck." In Kill Bill Volume 1, actor Michael Bowen's character Buck repeats the exact line before forcing himself on a comatose bride. Quentin Tarantino up to his old tricks.
Yep. Absolutely.
When Eaten Alive was released on home video under the title Death Trap in 1982, the film became one of the first of the so-called video nasties to be prosecuted under the Obscene Publications Act.
Wow.
And then finally, Ken Henke, in the official Splatter Movie Guide, reappraised the film as a misunderstood masterpiece that captured the otherworldly madness of the death of the amateur Knight and Dixie brand of the American dream. Not sure that I would go as far to say that it is a misunderstood masterpiece, but I did kind of enjoy this. And then finally, I liked this one. Bill Gibran of Pop Matters gave it a rating of 6 out of 10 stars, noting that the film's sloppy script, poor lighting, and lack of narrative sense, but stated that the film was so undeniably inept, so horrendously hobbled, so gosh darned god-awful that it's friggin' great. And I do kind of agree with that. Well done, Bill Gibran. Eaten Alive on Tubi.
Yeah, the Tobe Hooper catalog does indicate that Poltergeist was not his so much his stuff, because Eaten Alive is so, when he's given that much control, is just gritty and dark and uncomfortable and not in an entertaining way.
Right. And although, you get to the Salem's Lot miniseries, the TV miniseries, and it's pretty good. It's pretty straightforward. And, I don't know. It's hard to say.
I'm sure he had a lot to do with it, but I'm also sure he had a lot of Spielberg over there talking to what you talking to the DP about? Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Right. Or maybe Spielberg, I can't see Toby directing the children in Poltergeist.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And, I see that as a very Spielbergian feeling part of that movie. So, okay. That means I believe that it is my turn for the next subgenre pick.
Ooh.
And I've got a good idea, you guys.
Okay.
It goes like this. Jungle Boogie. Jungle Boogie.
I have to watch a 70s boogie movie?
No, you have to come up with a genre film that takes place in the jungle.
Oh, okay. I can do that. That sounds great.
On top of that, this is the part where we say thanks to everybody for participating in the Value for Value model, for liking and sharing posts, and sharing when the episode drops, and sending us notes. Thanks again, Andrew, for the nice discussion. I had a lovely, long discussion with Danny Williford the other day, and Ron and us were going back and forth on what to watch on Shudder and all that, and we really appreciate all of that stuff. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. We love our listeners. We love that somebody is, appreciating all the time and effort and also, joy that we share in the show.
Yeah. That brings me back to what I said earlier. Don't fight with your friends and family.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no need.
You can talk to them like they're people that you care about.
Absolutely.
Like they're people you care about. They're not actually people you care about, but they're like it.
Pretend that you like them and have a nice discussion.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we'll take off now. We'll be back in 1 week, and we're talking Jungle Boogie. Strange Aeons Radio is artisanal quality podcasting, handcrafted with all natural ingredients, and edited to perfection by Eric Morgret. Our blistering theme song is Strange Aeons Part 1 by the band Nightshade and is used with permission. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you enjoyed this episode, please consider dropping a positive review on Apple Podcasts.
It's almost like a pterodactyl pig.